Folks, picture this. You're standing on the northwest tip of the United States. If you go any further north, you're going to bump into Canada. If you go any further west, you're going to wind up in the Pacific Ocean. And so from that point, you're going to walk due south along the coast of the state of Washington until you bump into Oregon. And then you're going to continue walking due south along the coast of Oregon until you bump into California. And then you're going to go further south along the California coast until you stop at Monterey Bay. And that entire area, comprising 11,000 square miles, has been designated by the federal government as critical habitat for a marine species called the green sturgeon. Now, why should we care? Well, there's a very important reason. The Endangered Species Act now protects that entire vast territory from development or modification if that could harm the green sturgeon. So if you picture the map of the United States and you see that virtually the entire West Coast could have economic dislocations as a result of this critical habitat designation. But folks, it gets worse, because under the Endangered Species Act, the government was required to balance conservation goals on the one hand versus environmental impacts on the other hand. And in this case, in the critical habitat rule itself, the government admits that it failed to consider economic impacts in high-value areas. Case closed. And there's more. Under the National Environmental Policy Act, the government was required to consider alternatives to critical habitat designation. Again, in the regulations, the government admits that it didn't consider alternatives, thereby violating the National Environmental Policy Act. And once again, case closed. Now, in this case, we represent two groups: the Building Industry Association of the Bay Area and the Bay Planning Committee. And these are groups that are comprised of developers and property owners and business people in the state of California who have refused to allow the federal government to break the law by pretending to implement the law. And that's because this critical habitat designation is, well, how can I say this delicately? It's just slap down illegal.